start a new chapter, that is chapter number 2, microorganisms, friend or foe. Right? Friend or foe means they are useful as well as harmful for us. So that's why we can say friend as well as foe. So first of all, you have to understand the meaning of microorganism, that is micro plus organisms. Micro means very small. Organisms are organisms. So what I mean to say, there are plenty of organisms present in this earth, right? Out of these, there are so many creatures which are not visible. Right now I am standing here, but many creatures are around me, moving in air. They may be on the wall, they may be in my hand, they may be on the table. So these are not visible. So what are these? These are called microorganisms. So microorganisms, the organisms which cannot be seen with the naked eyes. We need the microscope to see them. That is the meaning of microorganisms. And the first scientist who discovered these or described microorganism was a Dutch scientist. Right? And the name was Anthony van Leeuwenhoek. He was a Dutch scientist who studied and discovered that is Leeuwenhoek. Okay. Now we know that in science there are so many branches which are studying different kinds of organisms, different kinds of variety like plants, animals. So same way the branch of science which deal with the study of microorganism is known as microbiology. Always remember. So this is study of microorganisms. Right? And then the person, we know that somebody must be there to study this, so they are called microbiologists. Right? Who study microorganisms. Okay. So now there are major 5 groups in which we can classify these microorganisms. So we will study one by one today, and we will just noting down the characteristics and the structure also, that what are the characteristics of different kinds of and what are their meanings. So let's start with that. So for that we are starting with major groups. Major groups of microorganisms. So in major groups of microorganisms there are basically 5. One is bacteria, one is protozoa, one is fungi, then is algae, and then virus. So one by one we are going to discuss. So first of all I am starting with the first one, that is bacteria. So bacteria are very small and the simplest living organisms. So one by one we are mentioning their characteristics. Very small and simple living organism. Right? This is the first characteristic. And then we can say their size. Their size vary from, because as I told you they are very small in size, so they will not be in meters or in centimeters. So we will use the one new term, that is microns. 0.2 to 100 microns. and 1 micron is equal to 1 by 1000 millimeter. So now you can just imagine that how much small they will be, the bacteria I am talking about, right? Okay, then single cell. Single cell means they are always made up of one cell only and found everywhere. And found everywhere. This is bacteria. But they are found in different shapes. They are having different shape, found everywhere in different shape. We can mention here along with that. Okay, so one by one we can mention their shapes. On the basis of their shapes, they can be identified as bacilli. Right? We can mention the example. They are also known as rod-shaped. Rod-shaped bacteria. Right? So the example also you can note down, Escherichia. That is the example for rod-shaped bacteria. Then second is cocci, that is known as spherical bacteria, because they are classified on the basis of their shape, because they vary in shape. Example you can write on streptococcus. Streptococcus. Then third is Vibrio. Vibrio means coma shaped. Vibrio means that is coma shaped bacteria. Right? You can write the example Vibrio coli. Right? Last but not least, spirula. As from its name, it's very clear that they will be spiral shaped. Spiral shaped. So example you can write that is Reponema cladium. These are the example. So these are the different kinds of bacteria, right? On the basis of the shape and their characteristics. Now the next is very important, viruses. So the name of virus means, you might have heard about virus as coronavirus, right? Recently it's going on, the pandemic we are suffering from. So what is the meaning of virus? Virus means poisonous liquid. Poisonous liquid. That is virus. And these are the smallest organisms. Smallest, we can say microorganism. Now you might be thinking about that, if sir is saying smallest microorganism, then what would be the size of these? So their size is 20 to 30 millimicrons. Just imagine 20 to 30 millimicrons. And they can be studied only under the electron microscope. We can't see them with the help of simple microscope. We need the electron microscope for them. And they are a link between living and non-living organisms. How? That they do not reproduce their own. They reproduce when they enter in any living organisms. So what does it mean? They only contain a small nuclear material, right? So when they enter a living organism, they use the energy to reproduce. And when they enter inside the human beings or any living organism, then they start reproducing. And the number of viruses are increasing. And then the living organism bursts and the virus comes out, right? And then it starts spreading. This is the meaning of virus. That's why it is known as poisonous liquid. So examples you can learn for virus. This is the only non-living microorganism which becomes alive when it enters inside the living body. So you can write influenza, poliovirus. So these are the common examples. HIV and influenza. So these all are the example of virus. Right. Then third we have algae. Very interesting. It's a group of simple plants. Latin meaning of this means in Latin it means seaweeds. We have done the meaning of weeds, right, in the chapter number 1, that weeds, well, these are the undesirable. So this is a group of simple plants. Simple plants because their structures are, but they vary in shape, size and habitats, right? Some are unicellular and some are multicellular. Some are unicellular and some are multicellular. That means in their category both unicellular and multicellular exist. They have no stem. I am saying that they are simple plants, but still they have no stem, roots and leaves, right? But apart from this, they are having chlorophyll, but have chlorophyll. Due to this, they make their own food by the process of photosynthesis, right? So their examples are terminomans, that is the one example. Spirogara, you can also note it down, Spirogara. So these are the examples of algae, right? Okay, so now the next one, the fourth. Fourth is fungi, right? So in this, that is group of diverse organisms lack of chlorophyll. They don't have chlorophyll. Please keep in mind, they don't have chlorophyll. And they generally grow in dark, warm and moist conditions. And moist conditions, right? Most of them are saprophytes, as we have studied are saprophyte and some are parasites. Right? Parasite and saprophyte name is very clear. Parasite live on living organism and saprophytes they derive the nutrition from the dead and decaying. Right? They are unicellular or multicellular. They can be unicellular or multicellular. They are not fixed like bacteria, as bacteria is only unicellular that we have studied till now. So examples you can take: yeast, mold, and even you can add here mushroom also. So that is all about this fungi, right? Group of diverse organisms that lack chlorophyll. You can see that lack chlorophyll. Generally growing dark, warm, and moist conditions. Saprophytes and some are parasites. Unicellular or multicellular, and examples. Okay. Now the last but not the least. Last we have protozoa. Protozoa. The meaning of protozoa. It means first animal. Protozoa mean first animal. Right? Now these are unicellular microorganisms. One more characteristics, they are unicellular microorganisms like bacteria. We can say bacteria, right? And they are found in ponds, lakes, river, moist soil. So in all these they can be found. They also either saprotrophic or parasite. Out of these they can be any, saprotrophic or parasitic. In here one is exception, one protozoa, that is Iglina, that you have to keep in mind, is an exception, as it contains chlorophyll. As it contains chlorophyll and can prepare its food. An example, amoeba, paramecium, amoeba and paramecium, these are the two examples. So that is all for the day 1 for microorganisms. Major 5 types, definition of microorganism and the major 5 types of microbes, and then their characteristics, which is unicellular, which is multicellular, and their examples. And you must have seen the structures of these microbes on the screen along with as I was telling or explaining the terms, right? So thank you so much for today.